Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak Up. I'm Ryan, your host, and with me is Priya. If you're new here, we're so happy to have you. And if you've been with us for a while, thank you for tuning in again. Today, we're talking about something that stops so many people from speaking English fluently: stress and fear. Have you ever felt nervous or completely blank when trying to speak? Well, you're not alone. But don't worry. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how to overcome that fear and speak English confidently.
That's right, Ryan. Many English learners don't struggle because they lack knowledge. Instead, their biggest challenge is stress, fear of making mistakes, hesitation, and self-doubt. These things block fluency. But here's the good news. Even fluent speakers aren't perfect. They just know how to handle mistakes without letting stress take over. And today, we'll help you do the same.
Most people don't struggle with English because they don't know enough words or grammar. The real problem? They're too scared of making mistakes. Imagine this. You're in a conversation and suddenly you forget a word. What happens? Instead of staying calm and finding another way to say it, your mind freezes. Your confidence drops, and that hesitation makes you even more nervous. This is what stops fluency. It's not a language issue, it's a mental block. If you keep worrying about mistakes, you'll never speak freely. That's why the real key to fluency is to overcome the fear of speaking English rather than trying to be perfect.
Exactly. The biggest mistake is believing that fluency means perfection. It doesn't. Even native speakers forget words, make grammar mistakes, or pause while thinking. The difference? They don't panic. Instead of letting fear stop them, they keep speaking confidently. Here's something to remember. Hesitation and fear create more stress, but confidence builds fluency. If you want to speak English confidently, you need to accept mistakes as part of learning. Once you stop stressing over every little error, you'll see an instant improvement in how smoothly you speak.
That's such an important point, Priya. And let's not forget, fluency is not about speaking fast, it's about speaking naturally. Many learners think that if they speak slowly, they'll sound bad. But actually, speaking at a comfortable pace makes you more fluent. Think about it. When you're relaxed, words flow naturally. But when you're stressed, your mind goes blank. So the best way to improve English fluency isn't by forcing speed, but by staying calm, focusing on your message, and not fearing mistakes.
Absolutely. So, if you've ever felt nervous while speaking English, remember this. Mistakes don't stop fluency. Stress does. The moment you let go of the fear of sounding wrong, your confidence will grow and your fluency will improve. So take a deep breath, relax, and trust yourself when speaking. It's not about being perfect, it's about being comfortable.
Now, let's talk about how to think in English to reduce stress. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with speaking fluently is that they translate every sentence in their head before speaking. This slows them down, creates hesitation, and makes them feel anxious. Imagine having a conversation where every time you want to say something, you first think in your native language, then translate it into English, and then speak. That process takes time and makes your speech sound unnatural. Fluent speakers don't translate. They think directly in English. But how can you train your brain to do this?
That's such a good point, Ryan. Translating in your head not only slows you down, but also increases stress because you're constantly worrying about getting the translation right. The secret to speaking English without hesitation is to break this habit and start thinking in English naturally. One simple technique is naming objects around you in English. For example, when you see a table, just think table, instead of translating from your native language. This small habit helps your brain connect words directly to their meaning instead of relying on translation.
Exactly. Another great way to stop translating in your head is to describe your daily actions in English. When you wake up, think to yourself, I am getting out of bed. I am brushing my teeth. The more you do this, the more comfortable your brain becomes with processing thoughts in English. And here's another powerful trick. Talk to yourself in English. It may sound funny, but even just thinking simple sentences like, what should I eat today? Or I need to go to the store, helps train your brain to think in English naturally.
Yes, and if you want to take it to the next level, try visual thinking. Instead of translating words, connect them directly to images in your mind. For example, when you hear apple, don't think of your native word for apple. Just imagine the fruit itself. This method helps you think in English faster and speak without hesitation because your brain is no longer stuck in translation mode. Over time, your thoughts will automatically come in English, making conversation much smoother and stress-free.
Now, let's talk about stress-free methods for daily English practice. A lot of learners feel pressure when they try to practice English, thinking they need a partner or a classroom setting. But the truth is, you can practice English daily without stress, even if you're alone. The key is to make English a part of your daily routine in a way that feels natural and enjoyable. The more you engage with English without pressure, the faster you'll improve.
That's so true, Ryan. And one of the best ways to do this is through English conversation practice alone. Many learners think they can't practice speaking unless they have a partner, but that's not true at all. You can talk to yourself in English, describe what you're doing, express your thoughts, or even create imaginary conversations. This helps you feel more comfortable forming sentences and speaking fluently, without the fear of making mistakes in front of others.
Exactly. Another powerful method is English listening practice. If you struggle with understanding spoken English, try listening to podcasts, audiobooks, or even YouTube videos while doing daily tasks like cooking or commuting. The key is to listen actively. Don't just hear the words, but try to repeat them or summarize what you heard. This improves your pronunciation and helps you think in English naturally.
Yes, and if you prefer writing, you can start journaling in English. Every day, write a few sentences about your thoughts, your plans, or what happened during the day. This helps improve your grammar and sentence structure while making English a habit. And the best part? You don't need anyone else to do this. You can learn English at home without any pressure. Just remember, consistency is the key. The more you include English in your daily life, the easier it becomes.
Many English learners feel stuck because they think they need to master complicated grammar and memorize thousands of words before they can speak fluently. But the truth is, fluency comes from smart learning, not from overloading yourself. Instead of focusing on every grammar rule, start by identifying and fixing common English grammar mistakes that affect your speech. For example, many learners struggle with subject-verb agreement or using the correct tense. Instead of worrying about advanced grammar, just focus on correcting these small errors, and your fluency will improve naturally.
That's a great point. Another common mistake is trying to learn too many new words at once. If you want to expand your vocabulary, don't just memorize random words. Instead, use practical tips to memorize English words effectively. One technique that works really well is learning words in groups. For example, instead of just memorizing fast, also learn words like quick, rapid, and speedy, so you can use them naturally in different situations. This makes learning more effective and helps you recall words faster when speaking.
And if you want to improve your English writing skills, start with short, simple sentences before moving on to complex ones. A great practice is to write one paragraph a day about your thoughts, daily experiences, or even a short story. This helps you structure sentences properly and think in English more easily. Writing and speaking go hand in hand. When you improve one, the other improves too.
Exactly. And the best part is, you don't need long study sessions to get better. Just 15 to 20 minutes of smart practice daily is enough to make real progress. The key is to keep things simple, focus on what matters, and stay consistent. Fluency isn't about knowing everything, it's about using what you know effectively.
Learning English has never been easier thanks to technology. Instead of feeling stressed about traditional study methods, you can use digital tools to improve your English effortlessly. For example, one of the best ways to learn is through English listening exercises. Apps, podcasts, and audiobooks let you listen to native speakers anytime, anywhere. This passive exposure helps you understand real-life English conversations without pressure, and the more you listen, the more naturally you start thinking in English.
That's right. And if you enjoy entertainment, you can learn English with movies or Netflix. Watching English shows with subtitles helps improve listening skills, pronunciation, and even vocabulary. The trick is to choose movies or series with clear, natural dialogues and repeat key phrases to get comfortable with common expressions. This way, you're not just watching for fun, you're actively improving your English without even realizing it.
And here's something interesting. Did you know you can learn English while sleeping? Many learners listen to English podcasts or audiobooks before bed, and studies show that your brain continues to process the language while you sleep. Of course, it won't magically make you fluent overnight, but it does reinforce what you've already learned and makes English feel more natural to your brain.
Absolutely. The key is to use technology in a way that suits your lifestyle. Whether it's listening to an English podcast for learning during your commute, using the best apps to learn English, or watching real-life English conversations in TV shows, these small, stress-free habits make a big difference over time. The more fun and natural your learning process, the faster you'll gain confidence in English.
Now, let's talk about how to sound more natural when speaking English. Many learners struggle with pronunciation and clarity because they aren't used to how native speakers talk. One of the best ways to fix this is by using the shadowing technique for fluency. This means listening to a native speaker and repeating their words immediately, copying their pronunciation, rhythm, and tone. It's like training your mouth and ears at the same time.
That's such a powerful technique. Another important skill is understanding native English speakers effortlessly. Many learners find it hard to follow fast conversations because native speakers reduce words and connect sounds. The best way to get used to this is by listening to different accents, watching interviews, podcasts, or real conversations. Start with slow speech, then gradually move to faster dialogues to improve your listening speed.
Exactly! And if you want to sound more confident, English accent training can help. First, choose whether you want to follow British or American English, because both have different pronunciation patterns. For example, Americans pronounce water as water, while Brits say watu. Knowing these small differences makes it easier to understand and adapt to different speaking styles.
And don't forget English pronunciation tips like focusing on word stress and intonation. The way you emphasize certain syllables changes the meaning and clarity of your speech. For example, in the word record, if you stress the first part, record, it's a noun, but if you stress the second part, record, it's a verb. Practicing these little details makes your speech sound more natural and fluent. Keep practicing, and soon, speaking English will feel effortless.
Let's talk about how to make learning English fun and engaging instead of stressful. One of the best ways to do this is by using stories. When you learn English with stories, your brain naturally remembers words and phrases better because they're connected to emotions and context. Instead of just memorizing grammar rules, try listening to real-life English conversations in storytelling format. It helps you think in English and understand how people talk in everyday situations.
That's such a great tip. And if you want to sound more natural, learning English idioms and phrases is a must. Native speakers use idioms all the time, like break a leg, which means good luck, or hit the books, which means to study hard. If you understand these phrases, you won't get confused in conversations, and you'll sound more fluent and confident when speaking.
Exactly. Another fun way to improve is by exploring casual versus formal English. Many learners struggle because they mix up informal expressions with business English vocabulary. For example, in a casual setting, you might say, "Hey, what's up?" But in a professional setting, you'd say, "How are you doing today?" Learning these differences helps you communicate appropriately in different situations without feeling awkward.
And that's the key to stress-free learning. The more you make English a part of your daily life, the easier it gets. Whether it's listening to real-life conversations, using idioms, or understanding formal versus informal English, the goal is to enjoy the process. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and most importantly, have fun with it. That's how fluency happens naturally.